I kind of just
Almost farm.
Mid-Air Information Center, though, officially the Hecht Residential College, because I ran out of ideas. I literally, it's like, pick a location, and then I just clicked the compass. I went to University of Miami, I'm like, it's technically the office. I can still change it. Right now it's just set to standard Google, but you can add like designs to it if you want it to look like to match the feel.
That's something we can work on after.
Yeah, because I mean I even have the address as Dixie Highway 11. But yeah, it's expandable too. I just had to publish it because it wouldn't let me share it if it wasn't published, which is horrible because if I need to share this with someone else who's part of the company, but yeah, all the links work. Everything's fine. For some reason, it's also telling me that I can click the logo, but it's not going to take you anywhere because it says the website. Everything works. So I kind of just picked the black and green one, but I'm like, I can totally change the format to the other one. I don't know, I gotta look and see what I can do. You can even create a custom domain, but I don't want someone to come up with an idea with this name and get screwed over to domain name. So just leave it at what it is, because I don't think it that's just what I worked on Monday after class. This weekend we had take-home exams. I had to study for the Chem test on Friday. Yeah, I literally had to do some of it. Tuesday I couldn't do anything because, well, life needs to
Oh, you guys are making something? I think there's so many craft parties. Yeah. Are they front houses or off campus houses?
I think.
anything can change from this program. I gotta find a way to add you to so you can make changes to the website yourself. So right now it's kind of linked to my account, but I think if you guys make that I don't know. Again, I had a hectic week, but I had to do something because I'm not getting anything done.
There's no way
You get it?
Oh, Jenner.
You're like, what are you doing?
The more you do,
That's how I feel. I promise you. Oh, my God.
I know. Did you not see my thing I tagged you? They were that last night. I really don't want to. I don't know. I think Tina and I are just, I don't want to. I'd rather the freshman first one, you know.
Where do you guys live?
I know.
Davis waited.
What are you doing?
That's the last one. It's literally the last one.
You always say
Oh, right, yeah, that's true.
did you get a haircut?
Wednesday night. Give me,
That's fine.
Actually, I know that
Websites out
I was thinking the AI told me
Okay, we're going live. It's good. Okay. Okay, folks. Welcome back. Let's get our name tags.
I've done such a great job.
And we have a packed full night today. So if you want to do a roll, let's do a roll. Who wants to do, anybody? Beautiful. So, okay, we have a packed night tonight, so I want to make sure that we're ready. So I'm broadcasting. Get the link at Steemit, at the Psycho.
I'm totally there.
About the live today.
Just not
So Cindy, how are we doing? So who's in your group?
I know the eye was a little
Cindy,
bit
remind me, who's in your group?
Lee, Elvia, and James.
And where are they?
All three.
So
James has the interview.
Right.
And Elvia, she is moving and had a work training.
Okay, so, and what have you done for your projects? Have you done anything?
Yeah, we did the foundation of our website.
Okay. And did you publish it, that we can look at it?
We didn't yet, so I'm waiting for Lee to fit out of his edits, but he hasn't done that yet.
Okay, so you need to publish it. Do you know how to publish it?
Yeah, on our page, yes.
What?
On our Blackboard page, yes.
But what did you use? Did you,
We used WordPress.
okay. So you need a, okay. Okay, folks, welcome back. Everybody have your name tags out. Let's get started. Chelsea, you're doing,
Yeah, what would you like?
I would like, put in the beginning, we can do, put in, BTE 450. Just put health IT.
Oh, can I have your emails?
IT.
Yeah, that was the other
We'll
one.
talk about projects and then put yourself as number one, put, first name, last name,
Kinda similar.
put your, phone,
I don't know if you want the blank.
and then put proposal, upload, yes, no, and it should be, there.
I've tried
Okay.
to change the color them to like not green, but since I
So
couldn't find
today
a way to
we'll
change
talk
it,
about
I
the
just-
project. We'll talk about agile development. We'll look at the, assignments, quizzes. And we have a guest speaker. The guest speaker is waiting outside, so when we're ready, we'll move them right in, okay? So, the guest speaker we have is an interesting,
Person.
very interesting person that is doing a lot of analytics, big data in healthcare. And he will be showing some areas in which he's working with some physicians on pain reduction. Rather than going to opioids, he's doing it via some other methods. So I asked him to do that, but I first want to work out what we're doing here. Questions before we begin? Okay, so Chelsea, we got that part, so we'll sign in, we'll get the parts, and we'll see. So, let me first look what you folks have had. So let me go to the audit area, go to course documents, and Roy, Emily, and Emma, have you uploaded your proposal?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go to group project. Okay, so you folks want to, let me know what you're gonna be, what is the project?
You want us to explain it to you? or
Yes,
you
I
want-
want you to explain
Okay,
it
so
to
we're
me.
gonna create an application,
Mm-hmm,
or at least to try to create an application.
Okay.
Something on like a website or something.
yeah,
That will connect, basically a portal for college students
yeah,
and the hospital or the doctors on campus. And try to maybe investigate whether the student has an STD, because many students are uncomfortable going there. I think that would be a cool idea, and maybe like partnership with every campus, throughout the country.
okay,
It would be kind of like a portal between, like a messaging app kind of thing,
uh-huh,
and where you can maybe exchange security encrypted, like a call, maybe exchange photos if you need to, instead of having to go directly to the doctor.
okay,
And if something needs to be administered, then the student would go in there for that reason.
okay, and what's available now?
Couldn't tell you. I don't think anything. Well, Emily says nothing.
Okay, so what we need to first, do, and then you can jot this down,
Sure.
is stated as what is the problem, and then you can even try to find out statistics of how great a problem this really is.
Right.
And then you need to be able to look at what is available now. Maybe not specifically this, but even the idea of the closest things that are available now.
Right.
In terms of this need, who's jotting this down? Okay, so it has to be, what is the closest that's available now? What is the services that you can do, and also this is within the university system, but also what's outside the university systems. Because you can think about a lot of these in terms of telemedicine, right? Telehealth issues. And then talk about there's ways in which you can think about these, the pictures being sent through. A lot of things of these types of things are also done. The closest one is look at dermatology. Because dermatology, if I have a rash, then I can take pictures, I can send that through. So you want to look at through the dermatology. And then what I'd like you to do is for next week, and then what do you want to do, is create an app or what?
Kind of like an application, give an idea.
Okay, so there'll be two parts. One is, what I want is a website. And in terms of, let's already have that preliminary one next week. And for development, you can create it using anything that you want. Some students are using Wix, W-I-X. You can use any other development platform that you want for websites. Is create already a website talking about what the problem is, what are the closest things for it. I'm just thinking, I haven't done research on it, how big of a problem is this? And then you may want to even suggest this with other issues, not only STDs, but other types of ways. And then you can look at it in terms of dermatology and set this up already for next week. And then what I want you to do is look at app development
You
programs.
guys have access.
Just like Wix, one of the things of Wix, you'll be able to see it on website, but look at app development programs for non-programmers. And look for the ones that are free. And that'll be for next week. You'll do both, is at least I'll have an initial website, and then you've already reviewed some of the app development, and you can start even playing around with those. And then we'll look at it for next week.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, next. Okay, Corey, Nico, and Ty.
Yeah, we just need to type up the actual proposal, but do we wanna do like a,
Well, what do you mean we need? When are we gonna need to do that?
right,
Right, there ain't a need, right? This is already overdue, okay? But what is so tell me briefly, what is,
the guest speaker last week suggested something like as far as like a wearable device that we can connect to like the blockchain that sort of tracks like the usual statistics, but
folks, what did I say? Go ahead and text or just send a right little idea. I can't speak over you. Yes. What?
yeah, it was just like a wearable health tracker that would be, we could connect like sort of to the whole blockchain. And
Wearable that does what?
like either on the wrist or something,
That does what? A wearable to do what?
like
What's
just the normal like.
Normal what? I mean, wearable to do what? There's a lot of wearable stuff.
I mean, yeah, but they don't actually, it's not connected that way with the blockchain.
So why do I need it to be connected to the blockchain?
Because if we're gonna actually relate it to healthcare, it'd be more secure the way that we would have it.
And that's the only reason I'm gonna be more secure blockchain. So I'm gonna take, there's thousands of wearables. What wearable are we gonna use?
That was just what we were thinking.
So stay with me afterwards and we'll work this out, okay? All right, next, group 3.
Yeah. We changed our idea.
Okay.
To, we're probably gonna do an app, but it's basically like if for anyone, either they got diagnosed with an illness or they're curious about an illness, they have like a dashboard that you search.
Where is this? You have it here? Group project?
Yeah. And then what pops up is multiple dashboards.
So is this it or this is the old one, no?
No, I removed the doc and put that one up.
So this is the new
that's
one?
updated, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Basically, it's gonna be multiple dashboards. The first one will be like an analytics page of like statistics about the illness, like demographics of people who got it and stuff like that. And then common symptoms, doctor recommendations, and user recommendations. So it's basically like, our main competitor would be WebMD. But instead of like all like people over, it's basically for people who are over dramatizing and really nervous about their illness. It's a good app for that. I explained it way better in the document. I can't really talk about it that well.
So how are you gonna get the content in?
Well, so each user that signs up, they have a list of like their demographics that they put in, so their gender, where they're
No,
from.
but I mean, how are you gonna get okay, let's say I'm a hypochondriac, right? I see something and I say, I must have melanoma on my hand, right? So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go to this app and you're gonna tell me what?
So, well, you would already be diagnosed, like you would already come back from the hospital like with it, like whatever you have, you already know you have it.
Okay.
So if you're nervous at the hospital, you're embarrassed, and you don't wanna ask questions to the doctor or
Yeah.
something like that, it's something you can do in your private time, like and search without like asking people, and you get like real recommendations and like useful things, like, I don't know, I think like.
And who's gonna make the recommendations?
Well, we'll have like user recommendations, so people who had it could have, there's a dashboard for that, and then there'd also be doctor recommendations if you have like the premium version, like that.
What do you mean user recommendations? So you're gonna recommend, so you're
So,
gonna,
a person
you
who
as
ha-
Danny gonna recommend to
no.
me what you think I have?
No, like you already know what you have.
Okay,
So it's like someone else who already had it, there's a user recommendation, like basically like a review page.
And how are you gonna get the content in? The content of giving those physicians, giving me scientific evidence about these statistics. How am I gonna get that content in the system?
I guess research or like talk, like going into hospitals and figuring it out. I don't know. Like I don't know. Is this like app, like are we like actually going up and like running this, like, because like we would need like a lot more manpower, but I don't know, I didn't know like the scale of this, like is it like,
What I would do is I would narrow this
to like specific illnesses or?
or something, or specific, yeah, take even narrow it, and then later on you can expand.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because you're doing WebMD,
Mhm.
it's basically WebMD with more specification, or WebMD with more statistics,
Yeah.
WebMD, and how could you possibly, the idea, you're not gonna do, how are you possibly gonna get that information? I could see the users you could get in,
Yeah.
that I could get, for instance, maybe even like diabetes, or some kind of, juvenile diabetes, or start off with
So start
one
with- Okay,
one issue, and then once you get that or a place where people that have this ailment or this symptoms or anxiety,
yeah, so, okay, alright,
you understand? Then I can get users, I can be almost like a place for being, let's say, anxiety.
mhm,
What are the ways to
yeah,
relieve anxiety?
yeah, you're right. But the
What are
main-
the meditation, meditation,
Yeah,
so forth?
exactly.
What are other users doing, and then getting it, and then broaden it out to maybe other mental health
Okay,
conditions, or maybe even focusing in on the college population,
okay, yeah, I get it.
because to compete with WebMD is,
Yeah. I guess I was thinking like this was more of like a imaginary thing, but
no, I don't want it to be imaginary.
Yeah.
You understand? I don't want to be grandiose, imaginary thing. I can imagine I'm going to be in the moon tomorrow,
okay,
right?
yeah, I got it.
I can imagine a lot of things. I'm in a rocket ship, right?
Mhm.
Tomorrow,
A
right?
lot of space themes. coming out.
Speed, right? Whatever. So I can imagine that I won the lotto, right? What, one in how many billions, right?
Right.
So I don't need to imagine. I want this to be real, that you can say, okay, I can take my data analytics that I'm studying with the other students here, that I can focus in on something very narrow,
Okay, I get it.
that I'm solving a problem.
Got it.
So take something that you possibly in your group have some interest in or know something about. So that's why I said anxiety or something, rather than some, horrendous, disease or something, something that almost maybe even college students face.
Got it. Thank you.
So let's talk about it afterwards, okay? So stay with me on this one, okay? Because we don't have that much time left, Okay, next. So I need to see group 2 and 3 afterwards. Okay, Faith and Lorna, what do we got? Because I'm in the groups and then I'm not going to be able to finish either, by the end of the semester. So what do we got?
So our idea is the counseling app
Yeah.
to be able to use like telemedicine and have your own like mental health coach that you can FaceTime with or call and we're going to aim it towards veterans.
Okay, so what's the next step?
So we started working on like designing like what the app, the different like interfaces would look like.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's backstep and let's do this. Let's do even a website
Okay.
for next week, talking about overall what you're gonna do, and then that second part will be the app.
Okay.
So let's have, and then have your team already done, and we'll have already the first version that we can go, and publish your URL on your project, so we can go straight to the URL and we can see the URL of what you have to the project.
Okay.
So you see, Danny, what we were talking about, so they have it like specific, I'm just gonna do on one. You got it? You got it, right? I don't
Yeah,
have to,
I'm a little confused still.
Yeah.
So, like if I'm making this app, like, we could do it like through something like Fluid UI, right? But like, do you want like actual like? I'm confused if you want
What?
like a statistics like serious thing or just like what the image would be of it, because I feel like if we just focus on something small, it's kind of it wouldn't be that useful.
well, it can be useful. My only contention here, you can do whatever you want. My only contention is if we do like WebMD,
Yeah.
are you talking about the topic or what you're
Well,
gonna
that was just
present?
one of our competitors. Like, we're focusing on like when you look up an illness instead of just reading all these symptoms. And all
Right,
this
so,
stuff.
but I would just even say, maybe this is my generic thing, and then we'll start from this
Okay,
one.
all right,
I'm gonna
that's fair.
start, our main goal is to finally be WebMD, but
Yeah, yeah.
we can't get there, so let's take
Like one specific area. I got it now.
one specific area if you wanna do that.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking, if once a specific area, it could be good enough, cause I can even like focus in like the diabetes.
Yeah, I get it now. That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. For sure. I want to, you know what I mean? I want everybody to succeed. I want to be able, that you can say, I can take this beyond the class. Okay. So what's up? Okay, and John.
Yeah, so we're gonna make an app that, it's gonna manage the health of diabetes, diabetes patients.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna, so it's gonna, like, it's gonna log their, like, glucose levels,
So is this is it?
exercise,
So what's
This
this?
is from like last week, but the bottom one is like the official.
Oh, okay. But this is the same? These
Yeah,
two?
it did. The second ones weren't dead.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like that.
So what? So I'll use that app and do what with it?
I mean, like, it's for diabetes patients, so like, it's gonna.
It's for
manage,
both
like,
type 1 and type 2?
Yeah, it's gonna, like, manage their, like, exercise, carbohydrate, fat, exercise, they're gonna have to put in, like, their weight, height, their personal health, and then we also thought about, I mean, maybe this is like a stretch, but, like another, you know how like Uber, there's like an Uber, Uber driver app?
Yeah.
So for like, for the doctor, he can see like the patient's, like live, like the live, glucose levels and like how they're doing, and then like.
Have you researched what exists now?
Yeah, we have like the competitors here.
Because there is something now that you can do on your phone that you can, you
There's
can,
a bunch of different ones on the
Yeah.
market, but they're all different. Like, we are kind of aiming more at doing it like, so you have your health information on you at all times, like at any time of day, you can look up like how many calories you're taking in, like all of that kind of stuff, like energy expenditure, so that you can keep track of like where you are during the day, more so.
Okay, and how much do you want the user to input?
You have to do like literally, I mean, it'd be for people that are really need it, like, I mean, diabetic patients, they have a hard time, you know, we need to know like what you're eating and how much energy and like all that stuff, so
But for
you
like,
have to do like a.
yeah, but for like the glucose, like they, I mean, diabetes, diabetics, they have like live, I don't know what it's called, but they have like, they
Yeah,
have like.
what I would look for is maybe find in terms of wearables or something, because there's now a
No,
lot.
we've looked into that too, but we also wanted to add like a feature of like
Yeah.
resources, so it'd be like suggested like diet plans and like other resources.
Okay, I think it's good. The only thing is, what I would just resist a lot, if there was a lot of things that end user would have to type in versus getting the weight or getting, you know, my glucose levels there, because I think most people don't want to be spending time, you know, recording everything and having manually to type in. So things that you could get from the environment or for some usable, you know, wearables that could then be taken that and putting into the systems, or when the last checkup.
Because, yeah, we talked about like the devices that like diabetic patients wear to
Right.
record insulin, all the injections and stuff, but we didn't know like if we were gonna have to create this like legitimately that like we can't actually connect it to a device, so that's why we didn't really include it in the proposal, but we talked about it.
Yeah, but I would add that somehow that you would be able, through APIs, get that information, because now there are ways in which, you know, I know you know, that you can even, as a parent, you can monitor on your iPhone. I can monitor and see what level you are in terms of your glucose levels, and I can even adjust, as a parent, your insulin levels from my phone.
We were thinking like also like what I mentioned about like the doctor, like he would have this other app that can like manage the patient's like glucose levels. And then,
I think there is some
I
there.
mean, but it's not like through phone. Like one of my friends, he has diabetes, and
Mhm.
it's like a whole other device. It's not like through your phone.
Yeah,
So,
because
like,
I'll set you up with somebody, because I have somebody that does it through their phone, and that's what they're doing, is they're remotely through their phone, they're adjusting it for their son, you know? That they even think that he doesn't have to bother, he's going on to college, he doesn't even have to bother, the father is basically taking care that the kid doesn't have to bother adjusting. We'll talk about it, but it's okay. All right. So what's the next step? So let's do that in terms of, let's have it next week then, at least create a website just describing what you're gonna do, describing your apps and what we do, and then we can go from there. And then doing more research on what is available, and maybe even integration of products. That you don't necessarily have to create it, but maybe an idea, these are available now. We'll have a center where it may be recommendations of what would be good. And see what's available. All right. Let's see, what else? Okay, Gabrielle, Kelly, and Danielle. You here?
Yeah,
So what's going on?
we have our updated proposal on the thing, and we're doing like, I think we'll make it specific to like alcoholics, specifically the app, because there's so much you can do underneath it, so the, what they have now, I looked up all the apps, there's like 12-step apps, there's ones that count how many days you're sober, like
Okay.
eating locators, but we were thinking about like combining all of those into one app, because there wasn't one centralized app, and also including like the online platform we were talking about. And then, we could like add a breathalyzer option. I have like a family member who uses one, and there's like no direct way where like other family members can like see the results immediately. So if we can like update something like that and get it to report right to an app, that could be like a cool feature too.
Okay. I think it's great. So let's start off describing all this in a, on our website for next week. Okay? Next. I'm with it. Okay, Cindy, what are we doing?
Our group decided to review
wearables. For, right now, we've decided on 4 specific wearables. Of course, this is gonna expand as the
Yeah.
semester progresses. But we're gonna review these wearables based on a consumer, like per patient view, but also a provider view. And we're gonna include video reviews, like we've discussed from last class on these wearables, but also create tables where it can be easily visible to see which wearable might be best for you. And with the website, we'll most likely go through with WordPress. That's what we've currently started with.
Right.
And then potentially with the app, a purpose for an app would be to maybe have a QR code scanning where an individual may just scan their product and immediately our information about that product would pop up or be directed
Okay.
to.
So we started the website, you did in WordPress?
We started it, but we're still working on
Okay,
it.
so let's publish it for next week.
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
and you can present it for
Do you
the
want to
first.
hear the 4 products that we currently
Yeah,
selected?
what did you do?
So far, we have the Fitbit Versa, the Fitbit Charge 3, the how do you pronounce that? Angelino Fitness Tracker, and then the Apple Watch Series 4. And these were, James found this article that was published that said these are like the top 4 wearables that,
And are you gonna actually review these?
Yes.
Physically get them?
yes.
Okay. Go for it. And then what I was talking to James about is what you could see it, and then Danny, this is what I was talking about, is they're doing those 4, but they can do a whole site where we're gonna do many reviews of wearables, right? And then you could even have like these demo labs, like here we have one at this university, we could create then demo labs of around the country and around the world, and then you could have vendors submit their products, and then it would have reliability that you wouldn't get any payments or anything, that you knew that these were reliable areas that you could do. So you can think about it. That's what I just wanted to tell you, is that at least have a focus of something, and then you can say later on we'll expand it, but then you have to figure out how am I going to get the content in. That was my concern, is how, that's been over many years, that WebMDs, how am I gonna get the content for every symptom and every disease?
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay? All right, very good, so let's see it then next week, we can start. Okay, course document, who else do we have? Where did okay, so we broke this up, Yami's not here, so, William, what's up?
Yeah, so, our entire group, we have 3 different projects.
Okay.
One-
So
different
you-
ways, I guess.
So
Like,
you
we're
have
still gonna
3
help each
different,
other.
so 1 person per project?
Yeah, like, I guess we're still gonna help each other a little bit, but we each have our own.
Okay, so Yami is hers, and yours is this, and Danielle?
Yeah, Danielle posted hers, I haven't.
Do you
like,
know
I
what
haven't,
she's doing?
Yeah, I haven't read up on that yet, about what they're doing.
Okay, so
They
why
just
don't
have
you
to-
be like the key person, since you have it, be the
Alright.
key person and get your entire groups then to have 3 separate websites
Okay,
for next week, and then we can review them all.
alright, yeah.
And then you're gonna do the,
Yeah, the healthcare.
The healthcare set.
I brought back I resurrected the old website that I had, and then I'm thinking of like adding some new tabs of like updating the mission statement and stuff like that.
yeah,
So for next week, I'll have
so let's
posted.
do that for next week, and then, and contact, then the other 2 group members and help them with the website that they need to do,
Okay, got it.
okay?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, what's up? Course documents then. So I'm here, we have so many different groups, okay. So what do we got? Sean, Dev, and Isaiah, what do we got?
We have a project proposal. We're gonna start doing the website this weekend. But
Okay.
Our proposal is kind of like, I probably copy and paste what we put in the Word document into there, just for your reference.
Yeah,
But practically, what we're gonna do is kind of connect insurance plan, connect patients by checking out the different aspects of premium, deductible, co-pays, and insurance based off of different factors that they have. So like I told you last week, maybe they
Yeah.
have kidney disease, whatever. But another element that we're adding to it is that say the patient picks the plan and a primary care provider, we're gonna connect the patient through that website to a broker agent who will call the insurance plan, and we will get revenue by taking a % off of the commission that the broker agent gets.
Okay, and did you review what are the competitors to this
Yeah,
idea?
there's not really, the competitors are kind of like the insurance companies themselves, in a sense that we're taking business away from the marketing agents towards, and then also Medicare.gov. The problem with Medicare.gov is that you can't put your own diagnosis.
Right.
And then, it's not customizable.
Yeah.
And also with broker agents, we're taking a little bit off of some of their commission off, so some of the agencies might not want to partner up
Right.
with us. But we'd rather.
But it's a service.
It's a
So
service.
it's a very good, I like it. So go for it. So let's see it next week. The first draft, at least start with the website for next week. You sold it well, okay.
Thank you.
All right, next, Liz, Kyle, and Monica, what's up?
So we're still going to go with the app or website aimed towards elderly care, and let's look into our competitors. And LifeLawyer is pretty much the leading thing in this kind of area, and a lot of people complained that it was simply just a way to contact emergency services, and it also wasn't really accessible to people who were deaf. And if we're aiming it towards elderly people, I think it really needs to be sensitive to those issues. So incorporating things like that and beyond just contacting that one.
Okay. So go for it in terms of the web, let's do the website.
Do you mind repeating what were the websites to make websites?
One that a lot of students use is Wix, W-I-X. That's a easy one, and it has nice, I think in terms of easy, and also has nice design. So it looks like they I think focus nicely on professional designers that you can
Okay.
try. And just use their version, okay?
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, what's next? So I have this, okay, so we're at the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my group 11.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
The last folder.
Yeah, we have the website up and loaded for that idea I told you about.
Okay, so
It's-
how do I get to it?
Just click the link.
Okay.
It's not a complete,
Oh,
it's a
wait, we're
format,
not, okay,
but we have most of the text that we want there.
Okay.
And we have a custom logo
okay,
that we tried.
all right.
It'll load. I thought it was an issue with what I programmed, but
Okay.
for some
And what did you
reason-
use here? You use
Wix.
Wix? Okay.
Yeah.
So Monica, when you were asking, they use Wix here too. You see the site was,
That looks really nice.
okay, diagnosis and before the ER.
We have a bunch of free pictures and icons if you want to use too, if you don't want to copyright off.
Okay.
Google. So yeah, it's got a bunch of stuff. We have the idea in the website as well as the
Okay.
link we had.
Uh-huh.
Again, it's not complete because we did this Monday.
Yeah, no, but but we gotta start, right?
And it's expandable, so if you want us to
Right.
add stuff,
Yeah, and do you have the team?
we do. Us too. We are. They're
Where-
contributors.
No, but I mean, are they?
Oh, on the website?
Yeah.
No, we just.
Okay, so add, one of the things is for everybody, for all your groups, that it should be, have a page of where the team is, who are the teams, and those are actual people, you know, that's you,
Yeah.
right? Of your pictures, your background, what you're gonna do in terms of the team, and have that.
Yeah, right now is working on putting the product on and
Uh-huh.
getting some of the links to work. So like
Okay.
that thing, you click it, it'll take you to the link.
Okay.
That's what I worried about. I just
Okay.
gotta put some
Okay,
pictures and we can
but
expand.
it's a start. You understand, in terms of agile development, you have a start, and then everybody else can look at it, and you can share that URL with others that they can give you feedback on.
Yeah.
Excellent. So everybody see where we're going for this? Okay. Just so we know that we're,
Oh, and in case you're also wondering about Wix, you can add contributors so they can change the website on their computer too. Yeah, and I think it tracks changes, but I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so you can add contributors to it on the website.
and that's what I want you to do, is to work,
Do you want us to make the you want us to make a simulation app with it too, or just a website?
and a simulation app.
Okay, so we need to work on that too?
Yeah, you need to work on that too.
Okay.
But let's just do the,
Yeah, right now,
stuff.
just information website,
Right, right.
but.
And then later on it'll be a simulation.
Because it's due in a month.
Okay, yes, and the presentation is the last week in November. Guess when November is?
Yeah.
Tomorrow, right. So it's the last week in November is the presentation. Next week, we'll do a review of where you are, because that's what I want. I don't want to be the last week then we say, oh my goodness, right? This is not what we want to do. So at least we'll be able to get honest feedback each week. So we'll have it that Wednesday will be the after, and then we have 1 week from Thanksgiving. So we really don't have a lot of time being a weekly class. Next week, we're also scheduled for modernizing medicine. Rheumatologist, Dr. Lana Oberstein will be joining us. She's a physician here at Lennar in rheumatology. Plus, she is one of the beginning people in modernizing medicine, developing rheumatology on their electronic health records. Okay, so we'll be having her join us as well. Okay, there's a company called pop.co. You can put it in your notes and you can look them up. And let's see, in terms of domain name,
Yeah, like this routine. I'm just gonna edit now, so I don't forget later.
check to see if they're giving now a domain. People, they were for a while giving a domain name for free for a year. Check to see in pop.co if they're still doing that. Okay, so we finished with this one on 450 KY. If I go to assignments, let me go. That quiz 11, let me just make sure that that has,
There was one question on quiz 11 that I think was,
wrong?
yeah, the answer was.
Okay, let's look at it. That's perfect.
It's number 9.
Okay, isn't that great that we can check it each time? Okay, so let's see which one. Let me do this. Let me edit the test. And which one? 9? Let me see.
That's it.
9, this one?
It's all the above. Yeah.
Which of the following terminologies have not been recommended? Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing RX norm as being
No, it was.
No.
Yeah. I have a picture of it.
Yeah?
You do?
Okay.
Although, like.
Okay. So let's change it. Edit. And
No, I'm fine. I believe you.
good.
I'm not-
This is like crowdsourcing. We can almost do it with our projects, right? Crowdsourcing. Okay, return and update attempts.
So should we get another attempt to be able to do that?
I don't know, we'll see.
Okay.
Check your scores. Did it change? Yes, no?
Yeah.
It did? Okay. Okay. What else? So let me make 12 available, since we're running, this way we can do it, okay? IT alignment, let me just see here. And let me edit the test options.
Wait.
What?
Dr. Rush, I have a
Yeah.
question, because I retook the test for last week to to make that answer correct, so I can.
Okay, so I'll give another,
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay? So let me make this available and then I'll go back.
Okay, thank you.
It's beautiful. This way we can work together as a team. That's what I love. Okay? Delighted to work as a team. Okay, after submission, all answers correct and submitted. So you want to do me a favor?
Yeah.
There's a gentleman to the left, his name is Mash.
Okay.
Tell him to come in.
Are you
Invite
opening
him.
it again?
What?
Are you opening it again, or, okay. She's opening it again.
So let me just submit this. This should be, you have to check on me. Do you have quiz 12? Tell me. Yes, no? Do you have quiz 12? And then this is quiz 11.
Yeah, 12's there.
12 is there?
Yep.
So let me just change the number of options here. So I'm going to change this to 3, okay? My pleasure. Okay, when we help each other, we always get it. Extra credit for pointing it out. That's what I say. Okay, now we're going to submit. Okay, so we should submit, right? So we have the quizzes. Any other issues that we have? So let's go back to Blackboard. Course documents, and let's go to web links. And the safeguards. Come on in. Great to have you.
Thank you so much.
So what do we need, Mash, for you to set up?
Did you get an email from me to show just with some Dropbox links?
No, I did. Well, did you send in my email?
Yeah, I did.
So let me look. So when did you say?
Sent it a little while ago.
Is this
Yep,
it?
that should be it.
Okay, and what do I need to do?
Scroll all the way down.
Okay,
There, if you open those 2 links,
okay,
and that should do it.
okay, that's one,
That's one.
okay. And then let me go back to the other one, and this is the other one?
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So what else do you need?
That's it.
That's it?
Yep. The
Okay,
rest
so-
of it, how much time do I have?
About, let's say, 40 minutes, is that good?
Oh,
How many-
that's a lot.
Well, I mean, we'll discuss it, but I'm just, you have it, okay.
Okay.
So you wanna come up here and then introduce yourself?
Sure.
And you got all this stuff on your head and?
I do. Well, it's Halloween, so I thought it might be a little apt.
Okay.
Does
So-
anybody know what this is?
A headset.
Yeah, it's a headset. This is live.
Is that?
That's crazy.
Sort of. But here's the interesting thing. Any one of you guys can get one of these. This is actually a cheaper version. You can get it for about $80 on Amazon right now. There are much better ones that are available. So what I'm here to talk to you guys about is a company called Wellbrain. Can I
Okay.
open up another tab and pull up the
Yeah.
website?
Yeah, sure. So Kelly, can you look at the camera and then we can see if we're?
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. Okay, we're broadcasting too, Matt.
Oh my goodness.
So great. So you're a star. Okay, so,
Type in wellbrain.io.
wellbrain.io. Everybody
it.
else can do it too.
Yeah. And this is the company.
Okay, you want to introduce yourself first, Matt, and give your, the students were excited to hear that you're coming, and it's a pleasure for us to host you. So So if you can give us, Mash, what you've been doing, your background, and where you're going with all your new opportunities.
Absolutely. I have
Okay.
no idea where I'm going. And I wish I knew. Hi, everybody. My name is Mash, short for Mashruk, Ladiada. I started my career in corporate strategy. Did my MBA at the University of Chicago about 16 years ago. Worked for JP Morgan Chase on the strategy team supporting the CEO Jamie Dimon, and then got hired to work on the strategy team at Home Depot. I built the labor operations people strategy for the company.
So give us an example of like what you did for Home Depot.
Absolutely. So anytime you walk into a store, one of the things that I'd helped put together was the idea that when you walk into a store, how someone can just walk through a Home Depot typical orange box, and they'll look around for items. Quick story, back when we were running it, Home Depot is one of the best places to meet a date. Yeah. It's odd little tidbits you pick up. There are certain groups of people who just like to spend their Friday nights walking around the aisles in a Home Depot store.
So you had happy hour there, or what?
We never did, but that's a great idea. That might be worth something. So how do you convert a customer into someone who would just be walking around to someone who actually buys something and leaves the store having made a purchase at the average basket purchase of about $65? How do you drive that actual conversion? Part of it is having the right home improvement goods that people need. Our founder used to say, if somebody walks into a Walmart blue box store with a sock and says, I need to find another one just like it, if they can't find it, blah, blah. They're okay, they'll still live. Somebody walks into a Home Depot store with a 9-inch nail and says, I need to find a whole bunch of these, because this is what's keeping my roof intact. And if they can't find it, that means something. That's a big deal. So you have to make sure, if you're a retailer, have that sort of purpose, sense of purpose, that you're selling the right goods. And with home improvement, we used to just say, stack them high, watch them fly. Literally, demand was inherent, it was strong, it is pegged to the US economy. You can predict how well the economy would do based on the assortment, the sales assortment that you would have in your stores. And we even found that our real estate team, when they would identify a location to open a Home Depot orange box store, between the time that you identify and locate and decide we're going to open a Home Depot store here, and it takes about 8 to 9 months from breaking ground to putting up a store and getting it fully functional to a store opening, and then another 2 years of it to really get stable, steady, comparable store sales. We found that during that time period, real estate, just residential real estate in the surrounding area around the Home Depot store would jump up significantly, 3-digit percent terms. Just an interesting way to hedge things. So that was a lot of the work that I did. My work in strategy was really helped because I was the data guy. I was
Data.
Completely, I was the data guy. My nickname MASH comes from the fact that our CEO at Home Depot at the time, Bob Nardelli, used to call, I built all his dashboards, and he'd scream out, where are my MASH boards? He kind of stuck, I hated it. So, did a lot of strategy, international mergers and acquisitions, worked internationally, China, India, the Middle East, then came back to the US and started working with a lot of healthcare companies. This was the beginning of this current decade. And one of the things that happened, because I was doing a lot of data work, a lot of computation, I was really into predictive modeling, so got into what people now call data science, machine learning. I've honestly been doing data science and machine learning since the JP Morgan days, because I was taking massive amounts of data and building them into predictive models. People strategy, the way we did Home Depot. How do you drive that customer conversion? The real answer is having the right person, having the right store associate. So it's somebody who would greet you when you walk through the front vestibule doors of Home Depot and say, hi, what can I help you build today? And walk you through, and they tell you, can I help you find something? What are you looking for? Or answer any questions. a lot of people say, when I walk into a Home Depot, I'm looking for people who really know what they're doing to help me. We took that feedback to heart, and we tried to fix that. We had all sorts of learning programs and so on. So you're hiring somebody who works at the Home Depot for anywhere between $16 an hour to over $30 an hour. It really does matter that you train them up so that they can help your customers with that. And so now that you know that those are the kinds of people you need, let's go through the data. How do you predict how many people and which person you need to have at the right departments on the right day and the right time and so on and so forth. And so there's a whole different story that we could go into on how do you drive retail strategy, but that's not what we're here to do. Over the last several years, I've been working as a data scientist. I work for a biotechnology company called Amgen. Many of you may have heard of it. On the Enbrel therapy, I helped develop the patient medication adherence model. This is the number one reason why a patient does not get better with any kind of particular condition that they would have is because they do not take their medication exactly the way that it is prescribed. There are certain phenotypes that we looked at across a wide range. What are the behaviors why people don't take their medication? It could be because they were stretching the dosage, or they're skipping a dosage, or they're going on a holiday and they just don't want to take their medication with them. Enbrel is a once-a-month injection that has to be refrigerated. Kind of hard to take it on a cruise, right? So figuring that out, using data, and we were able to, and a lot of healthcare companies are able to do this. We're able to collect data such as all of the prescriptions that you have filled in your name over the last 7+ years. And it doesn't matter if you filled those prescriptions at a CVS or a Walmart, whether you paid for it in cash or whether you got it from reimbursed, your insurance company paid for it or not. Doesn't matter. There are records of it, and all of that is aggregated. And so when you look at that, and you look at when a patient's prescription was written, doctor says, today, you need to get such and such medication. Well, did you fill that prescription today, or did you wait 3 days? And then for the next prescription, did you fill it on time, or did you wait? Those sorts of time series data demonstrate or help us identify, like a credit score for a patient, whether they will be adherent or not. So right away, out of the door, you now know, is a patient going to potentially be adherent to your medication? Are they going to take it the right way? Because you want to ensure that they do get better. And then if they're not, is there a way that the medication itself intelligently can let us know, hey, I was supposed to be taken, but I wasn't taken by the patient. Do something. And again, that was another innovation, device engineering, low Bluetooth, little device that was built into the medication. You're paying about $14,500 a year for this medication. Yeah, there's enough leeway to incorporate some pretty cool technologies into it. Those are some things that healthcare companies do in order to engage with patients to try to help them get better. Just some examples. Other projects I've worked on involved things such as identifying patients with a rare genetic cardiovascular disease using electronic health records and hospital records. We can take data on known patients who have a particular genetic condition, and you can build predictive models. You can train it on, here are the known patients, so here are your true positives, that's the ground truth. Let's look at all patients, those who don't have this particular genetic or any kind of disease or condition. And you can build predictive models that within a certain range of probability, life is all about probability, you can predict whether that patient might probably have this condition. And you've identified them, and then you can take that patient and put them into the appropriate clinical care pathways, get them diagnosed, do the genetic tests and so on, et cetera, et cetera. There are ways to do it, and this is what people are doing all across the industry. Those are some of the projects I've worked on. Insurance companies, industrial companies, I built the AI for Subaru Automotive for their engine assembly, et cetera, et cetera. All fun stuff. This is different. So these are friends of mine who reached out to me last year and said, this is what we were trying to do. WellBrain is a digital health platform. it was built out of, not as in just a plain old startup, it grew out of a fairly thriving pain management practice in Silicon Valley, well, in the Bay Area. There are 3 physicians. They were in the, and about 25 to 30 physician assistants. Right now, 4,500 patients, and so on. So, big practice. And what they began to see is their canary in the coal mine moment several years ago, where patients would come in and say, hey, doc, I've got all this pain, just give me my prescription for meds. I'll take it, and when I'm done, I'll come back for more. And they kept seeing that over and over. They didn't like that. They could certainly, as we saw, the opioid crisis looming. The other slide that I have, if it comes up, it's okay, Sarah, it's all right. If
You
it
want me,
comes up-
I can get it for you, so.
Sure. That tab over there?
Yeah, this one? This one?
Not this one.
What do
Not
you
this
mean?
one. The other tab that we opened.
So we opened this one, no?
So,
You
and
want
if
this
this is
one? Or the other one?
the other one,
This one?
if this is the same one,
Yeah. this is
if
good.
you go near your Gmail tab, I think that's it.
Okay.
So this is actually not my presentation, these are facts that were published last week, Monday, when I and other faculty members from your department were
Right.
also there, at the Opioids of Florida conference. The number of, the stories are just absolutely terrible. The White House also passed an addiction bill last week, Wednesday, which actually was a bipartisan bill. It was
Oh, is that on? Yeah, that, is that on?
This one's on.
Both of them are on.
Yeah.
It's still recording.
Yeah, they're both still recording.
Yeah, it says live.
Yeah, they're both still recording. Yeah, go
Someone
ahead.
watching?
Did not expect to be.
Right, right. Okay.
What front camera? There's only
500 some, they're actual facts. There are more people who are dying of opioids than all of the other chronic diseases. We're talking cancer and so on,
Right.
compounded together. The stories are really, really sad. These are not people who are abusing drugs per se. These are people who suffer from any kind of pain event. They take regular medication that was prescribed to them, and they get hooked. And that starts the downward spiral. I met one gentleman, he used to be the CEO of a hotel business, one of the prominent ones, and his son passed away from suicide as a result of all
All
of
the
that.
horrible things.
Yeah, all the horrible things, and he didn't see it. And his son passed away in early 30s. So he's taken that and he's created a whole new program. Just as we have the National Cancer Foundation, he's starting a company called Shatterproof. That, not a company, an organization called Shatterproof. It's a nonprofit, and he's trying to build it out to be just as influential as the National Cancer Foundation and so on. In any case, going back to some of the numbers are staggering. We're talking about, on any given day, over 700 people dying in the United States alone. The number could be even higher. I think the growth has sort of plateaued a bit, and hopefully it'll begin to go down in the United States. But we know that this is a truly major problem. So how do you try to fix it? WellBrain is one company that doesn't try, maybe it won't fix it all. It was built out of that pain management practice for these physicians. We solved the problem for them. What they found, they met with an American guy who gave a TED talk in India on meditation, and they followed him and used his ideas to incorporate and build out a meditation program that they wanted to use for their patients to get them off of these really serious opioid conditions. And so we do have patient stories. There's one that I'll get to, and I'll just jump right ahead. 87-year-old woman. She, Holocaust survivor. She had disc, some type of disease, degenerative disease associated with their discs in their spinal column. And so she would come into the practice for neurostimulation therapy and so on. She started to do our meditation, WellBrains, and we have an app, and we'll get to that. She followed our meditation programs. It involves doing a meditation, guided meditation, using the app on an iPad for about 10 minutes a day, 4 days, 3 to 4 days a week, for 2 to 3 months. And that's the start. And that helped her recognize, not only begin to get herself off of the opioids, begin to learn to regulate her pain on her own better. It also helped her therapy line to figure out that she was also suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder resulting from her experience during the Holocaust, that she carried with her up until present day at the age of 87, and is now beginning to address that. And she never really knew why, and so on. So there are a lot of these sorts of stories that come about. So what WellBrain is because we grew out of this pain management practice, there are several things that we do as part of our digital health program. We have an app that our physicians' offices were able to use, and now we're able to license out to others. We have interest from just over 100 different physician practices, pain management practices around the country that would subscribe to our program. They pay a fee, they get the iPads that are already set up that allows their caregivers, and it's optimized for their use, and they can hand to their patients to do these meditation programs. So it's a B2B to C with the patients to do these medication programs, and then we're able to track that. Let me, can I jump to one of the slides?
Of this one, of these, of this?
No,
or-
this is the website.
I don't know what this is.
Can
But
I-
yeah,
Do you mind if I drop?
Yeah. Go ahead. Be my guest.
And I'm going to stop in a few minutes so I can take questions, and we'll circle back around to some other discussion points. So, WellBrain, it's cloud-based. We're on AWS, crime pain management platform that enables providers to assess and understand, and so you can do the diagnostics. One of the reasons why because we grew out of a pain management practice, one of the difficult things for clinicians in pain management to do are to do these diagnostics of their patients. They're expensive, they have to be reimbursed, and the paperwork for that is onerous to say the least. Well, as part of our app, we've built out the proper paperwork so that it makes it a lot easier for your pain management practice to use this and just prepare all of the reports at the very end that can be submitted, and it is accepted by all the major insurance carriers and Medicare. So the practice can get reimbursed. That's a big deal.
So when you're saying, so this is an actual product that you're selling to physician practices, is that
Correct.
your?
That is correct. And so we have, and it's every little piece that you can imagine when you think digital. We've got.
So this incorporates with the EHR that they have presently?
They do, especially if you use Epic. So it'll
Okay.
incorporate into Epic as well, so you can touch on certain patient records. Don't quote me on that. I'm
Yeah,
not
right.
truly familiar with exactly how
Right.
that works. Although I'm the data guy. I
Right.
just want access to the data. So
Right.
the challenge for me is I'm not part of the little things, right? For me to get access to patient data, not only it's almost impossible because I have to be a part of the clinical team in order for Epic to allow me to see the data. But because I am part of this startup entity,
Yeah.
even though it's own part of practice, I should not be allowed to touch any of the Epic data. Epic sort of has a lock on that. Is everybody familiar with Epic?
We're familiar basically that it's an EHR, and some people have used it. And here at the university,
Yeah.
that's our.
University of
our-
Miami.
University of Miami has it
Mhm.
for our
Baptist
Okay.
Health had it as well. They've now since migrated to something else. And I understand it is better, but again, some practitioners there are saying that.
So for the time being, and then later on, I guess it will work with other EHRs.
Exactly. We
Okay,
will
you have to
work that.
start somewhere.
But we've got to start somewhere, and we
Right.
have something, and so by itself, it's this. Now, we still
Right.
haven't really gotten to the meat of it, how we use mindfulness, and I
Yeah.
wish I could, we'll get there in just a quick moment. So opioid crisis, et cetera,
Right, we know.
so we've covered that, and so our solution, we
Solution.
have an app, we have this headgear. I'm gonna take this off, because this
Yeah.
thing really hurts.
Okay.
But we'll walk through this
Okay.
in a bit. We have an app, and what it does is it allows you, when you open the app, and I wish I could show you guys something, but it's not working very well.
Okay.
It's probably because it has to be connected to the network, and we're blocking a .edu address. So,
Right.
All
Yeah.
that said, you connect to the app, if you're a patient, you're prescribed certain medication programs, and we have a whole series of them for all different types of situations and conditions. And then you go through, you hear this monk's voice. Some people don't like his voice, but, and I promise, we will spend the money and we will get better ones. You'll do this guided meditation for a certain period of time. Now, the app, if you're using the NeuroSky headgear, will also be able to collect the data off of that. So we have the alpha, gamma, theta waves. We have, headgear will say your level of attention and meditation. It's kind of cool. We'll collect that over the sample period of that you've done the meditation. And then when you're done, you get the self-reported survey. The patient says, well, how did it work, and so on and so forth. And we can tie that to the EHR records to see, were we able to reduce their opioid, their prescription by any certain level. And so here's the big takeaway. These are my numbers. So does WellBrains, does meditation work? Okay, yes it does. And what we've been able to show is, again, if you restrict all of this to just, this was about, we sampled it on full 3,000 patients. All of them, 10%, a little over 300 of them we had complete data on. So from them, we were able to show, I showed that they reported that their pain reduced by at least a third by doing the meditation. Now again, let me reiterate, the meditation is, you use that for 10 minutes a day, about 4 days a week for 2 to 3 months.
And how long is the training sessions for this?
The training sessions
Yeah.
for you doing the meditation?
Right.
Usually at the doctor's office. So
The
when you're
doctor.
there,
And how long, you're saying I need to do this 4 days a week, 10 minutes a day, but how do I know how long does learning how to do the meditation take?
just follow the instructions.
Okay.
So it is not where you're just told, meditate now and you're doing, it's a guided meditation. So it's effectively, you have videos that are built in and they.
Okay, good, I follow through on them.
So
Yes.
the meditation is incorporated into your business? So you guys created it?
We created it. So
And is that-
physicians actually created it. Now this isn't patentable. So what this is, so what WellBrain is a non-opioid, what's the exact word for it? Non-opioid modalities to help manage chronic pain. What non-opioid modalities mean is modalities, I'm sure you guys are familiar, has to do with effect. It's just the effect, how you feel. So this is not a therapy. This is not a drug. We are not producing a medical device. Contrast this with
You have to go through that FTC.
bingo. And so the FDA actually did shut us down about a year and a half or so ago when they said, nah, this looks like a medical device. And you need to go through all this clearance, we have to jump through all these hoops. And then finally we got a lot of lawyers and they spoke to them and they said, no, this isn't because of the language.
Of non-opiate modalities.
These are non-opiate modalities. These have to do with your effect. It is not a therapy. Unlike the work that I did on patient medication adherence and cardiovascular disease identification, those were specific therapies that are class 4 medical devices. That algorithm. And so,
So, they have the bands where they say you meditate and you'll feel better. So how is the difference between, there was one that's really famous, what is it, they're coming out of Canada. It's like
Yeah.
it's similar bands. How are they different than what you're doing?
they aren't. They're all the same. So if we put this on you, the way those bands work is there's this sensor right here.
Right.
It needs to be positioned at this part of your skull because right here, apparently there's a gap in the skull which lets out more of the brainwave signals. And so this sensor will read best as long as it's positioned right over here. If you guys want to try it, it's connected to Bluetooth. It's all ready to go if you guys want.
And then when connected, then you'll be able to.
Same thing with the other devices. They will also have that. We don't have this set up yet.
So is that device patented?
This is patented by NeuroSky.
That's another product.
It's a product.
Right, so you need that product to make this work.
Correct.
Right.
Do you guys have like a partnership with them?
We don't have a partnership with them per se. We have more procurement agreement. We buy this many and we sell that. Yeah. What we are trying to evolve into is not just use this. We now are looking into, and we're working with the vendor for these little monitors that you put on your fingers, and it'll have the same effect. Because what we want to track is, are you meditating? Is it being effective? That's all. At this point in time, that's all we're looking at. Now, someone like me, I've been screaming for more data. I am working with our coders and software engineers in Latvia and India, where we are rebuilding the entire platform, the app and everything else, because I do want all of that signal data, the brainwave data for patients, so that I can begin to start to do real data science. Let's look at all of our patients. Let's try to see if there is some kind of change. Let's do some unsupervised machine learning with all of this massive amount of data that we'll be able to generate, and try to see, do we see something here? Do we find a valuable signal on which we can predict some kind of outcome? And then, can we influence that? Can we drive towards them? Again, if you guys want to know a little bit more about machine learning, it's really quite easy, believe it or not.
Easy in what sense? When you say
machine learning.
Okay. And why do you say it's easy?
Because I do it and I teach it.
Okay.
I have to do
Easy in what way, though? For whom, when you're saying that?
just about. So I believe, sidebar.
Yeah.
I believe, and I come from Home Depot, and so we come from the operation world. It's about continuous process improvement.
Right.
At Home Depot, when I was there, if you wanted a promotion, nobody would ever get it for you. You would have to go seek out promotion, go apply for a new job. Nobody would grant you a promotion. This is a tip for you guys as you go out into your careers. No one's going to give you a promotion, no matter what they tell you. You have to find it. In order for you to qualify for a promotion or even a lateral move, you will have to have done a Six Sigma project, a green belt project where you're showing any kind of growth, improvement, something of value for at least about $50,000 to a black belt project. So everybody, doesn't matter if you work in human resources or IT or merchandising or store operations or finance or internal audit, you have to do a Six Sigma project. That involves gathering data, following the DMAICs, the design methodology, all of that. Gather data, do the statistical analysis, and so on. I believe this is 2018, folks. The kind of computational power that you guys all have at your fingertips is ridiculously easy. You don't have to even write a single line of code. If you use, you can use Microsoft Azure Machine Learning Studio, where you're just dragging and dropping bubbles on a screen.
Right, they have built-in machine learning algorithms.
Exactly. So gather data. Yesterday I had to do something, it was a bit of a corporate challenge. Somebody gave me monthly data for Google searches for the word sunblock by month from 2004 to this present month. That's it, just monthly data. It was 175 or so rows of the date, year and month, and just a count in thousands of Google searches for the word sunblock. Predict that, take that and predict it for the next 12 months. And so what I did was, we don't have to go there, but it really is, the time limit was 2 hours. 2 hours to do all the modeling and then prepare a presentation and submit it.
So the models are built in and you don't have to know really what's behind those, but using those models. That's
I
what you
started with a
mean by
baseline of
using-
linear regression,
Right.
basically using the Gaussian distribution. The actual model was a deep learning model. Was a deep learning neural network that gave you a perfect, near perfect precision. It captured, with just 175 data points, that's it. A neural network was able to capture and understand the seasonality, that there is a bump up and so on, and predicted the next 12 months just beautifully. It just looked, I mean, future hasn't happened yet, but it looks good. Now, how many lines of code? It was really about 4 lines of code. That's it, 4 lines of code of nothing too complicated, just saying, read the data, predict the data, make sure you're running neural network and blah, blah, blah with these settings. Once you got that model, okay, show me what it looks like. I like it. Now, predict the future value. That's it. That's it. It really is just those lines of code. All you have to have is just a little mind for statistics and linear algebra and so on. That helps. If you ever wondered why. Yes, sir.
Back to like the pain reduction,
Yes.
the percentage. Do you guys follow back up then after? Like, how permanent is that pain reduction?
Excellent question. How long does
That lasts.
this last? It lasts. These are active current patients.
So like, do you guys like go back like maybe like monthly and say like, do you like check in to update the statistics, or is it just like a one-time?
So these are patients that are part of the practice, so they're always coming.
Yeah.
And so.
It's a continual basis.
It's a continual basis. This is an older population, so anyway, we're able to show that reduction, and it stopped there. So when I produced these metrics, I only looked at the sample where I said, I just want to understand if they've used the meditation program for, can't remember if I said 60 days or 90 days right now. That's it. I just want to see that. But that continuum of data for that, the care for that patient continued after that. I didn't look beyond it. I needed to standardize to get these standard metrics, but all of those patients, for the most part, are still part of the practice. And so the physicians, they're on the ground. They're seeing these patients actively.
And they have to keep it up.
And they have
It's
to
not like 3 months and then I can get off
and
of
then
it.
get off of it and it stays. They're on it.
It's a continual basis, but rather than being continual opioid, it's a
Right.
part of their life doing meditation.
Right. And so even if you go beyond this, so 31% showed a reduction in pain by about a third. That was the magnitude based on the self-report outcomes where we said, give us your level of pain on a scale of 1 to 10.
Out of how many patients was that?
This was a little over 300 or so. that-
All in the same geographic location?
all in the
Not-
same geographic location.
And all
Correct.
with the
They're
same,
all in the
in that
San Francisco-
practice.
In that
Practice.
practices, their offices.
Right.
In the San Francisco
So
area.
you use them.
Correct.
And the age of, were all elderly or the ages?
No, we had a few younger folks in the sample. I remember late
But-
20s, I remember some 30s.
But for these people, you're using this in order to get the data.
Where it's really just the app. This isn't even as important. It is just used doing mindfulness.
Right, so
This
it-
looks
it-
cool.
Right, but they don't need to, once they learn how to meditate, and if it weren't getting your data, they could just be meditation. They don't need any of the, sometimes these help in terms of learning biofeedback and so forth and getting it.
So-
And getting that I'm getting that biofeedback, that I know what feedback I need to do and where I
Exactly.
need to make the correction.
So Professor Rusnak made a really good point. So that biofeedback, to drive the actual value, that this device, while it may not be absolutely essential for us to track their pain states, It is absolutely important for adherence, because what we've done is we've gamified it. What these biofeedback devices do is they give you certain feedback. Like that screen that you saw, it was sending my signal, and it has the attention and the focus and meditation, the little dashboard, and you can see the arrow moving. And that, something like that, for any kind of patient, it gamifies it. They'll say, hey, I want to improve that. So you're listening to a video and you're doing a meditation. Presumably you are meditating, and you don't have to be perfect like a true monk, but you're trying. And the meditation is, if you read a lot of books about it, as I've had to do, it's
And are
the
you
intent.
meditating now yourself?
Not as much.
Mhm.
I should, not
Okay.
as much. But the whole point is, don't beat yourself in the head if you don't enter
If
into
you're
some
not
Zen
perfect.
state. You're not going to enter a Zen state.
So-
It literally is just feel like you're turning something
So the
on.
business model here is B2B. Are they planning to do to C as well, or they're gonna
It
keep it
is-
as B2B?
It's a B2B. Right now, it's
And
a
what are they,
B2B.
what, are they selling this at all, or not?
We are.
You are?
And
What-
so
what-
those are individual contracts. It's things, they're pretty much open. I can't
Okay.
really share it, but
Right.
you start with the practice. So if you're a Miami pain management clinic and you want to use WellBrain, so you pay a certain fee. We're not talking tens of thousands, we're talking maybe 1,000 or so to get started. And then you pay for the iPads, then you pay for the app, all of which are very affordable, we believe.
And
They're priced
Medicare
right.
is paying for this?
And then as you do this, and you do the diagnostics, psychological evaluations to
Mhm.
assess their pain state,
Right.
that's pricey. As I understand, I've heard numbers like Medicare pays $10,000 or so or more for some of these diagnostic evaluations that chronic pain clinicians do. And it's just part of the care process,
So your role in this company is to be the statistician and to be the data analyst?
data guy again.
The data guy throughout
Again.
this?
I do
And,
like.
and then you don't have to be there, you just get this data remotely, so you can be anywhere in the world. Is that a
Correct.
fair statement?
Correct. And so this is what right now our target is. We have, not 100, we have about 150 providers that have expressed an interest, that are working with us as this whole business-to-business B2B arrangement, where they're using our digital health platform, and that gives us access to about 300,000 patients. Their patients all aggregated together. We're growing, and we're growing fairly well, because again, geography.
So when you sell your product, do you get their data as well? Is that part of the agreement, that you'll get it
No.
de-identified? So
No.
you don't, so you're not being able to do best practices, or someone to be able to take that for, more of, to see what the population will be using?
What I would get-
So who's gonna be getting that data? Only individually? You
So
can't
we can
make
get the
something.
app data, we would get the app data.
You do.
So those are the patient self-reported outcomes. So what I would have would be versions of this, maybe this, but I wouldn't be able to see emergency room visits for those patients
Right.
unless they share it with me. And there is no strict agreement
Yeah.
because we have to be able to sell and license our
Right.
product. Sharing, getting access to data like this is really hard at the patient level. Some things are hard, but remember, as I mentioned, patient medication adherence, how were we doing it when we started several years ago? Your prescription history, your prescription fill history, that is there. There are providers like Epsilon. Epsilon is able to get access. They don't aggregate and resell, but they're able to get access. If you have a car that was made in 2007 and 2008 onwards, some of them are even earlier, your car is sending out its status telemetry using the AT&T or Verizon network once every 3 minutes. Yes. It is, they're sending that telemetry out. Whether you like it or not, you cannot turn it off. And so the manufacturers can have access to that data, and we can do some pretty interesting stuff. Yes, sir.
So I have a general question about the whole industry.
Yes.
I watched a few documentaries about how bad the crisis was back in the 2000s and all that. What is the biggest...
opioid crisis?
Yeah. What is the biggest benefit for like the practice. Don't they make money on the prescriptions, like giving those prescriptions out at the end of the day?
Yes.
So-
But guess what? And
Wouldn't
if this
we
is just
do-
me talking, what's the worst opioid pill out there?
Right, I'm just talking about in a business aspect, because from their standpoint, wouldn't it be better for them to just keep?
Keep people with people on it,
On it?
Yeah,
but
because that
they're,
was the biggest.
Because the pain medication
Right.
is dirt cheap. Fentanyl comes from China. And the Chinese have flooded the United States market with fentanyl. And there is now another one, chroma fentanyl or something. There's a PBS Nova episode from just like the second or third to last one on addiction that focuses on that chroma fentanyl or something like that.
right.
That is 100 times more potent than heroin. And I, in fact, just this morning, I was with my guy who fixes my car, and he said one of his other customers, a physician, gave him one of those pills and said, look, just be careful, break it in, this little pill, break it into a fourth, and take one for his back pain. He took it, he was knocked out. 1/4 of this it was fentanyl. And he was knocked out. It is extremely easy to get addicted to it, but it is cheap. And to your point, why bother? There is actually some numbers on the cost of the opioid crisis. So that $95.3 billion in 2016. And if you start to begin to, and that is the cost to our economy, that is the cost to us. So how much would it be worth? How would you be willing to spend 5, 10, 20 billion dollars to get rid of that cost? Would that investment be worth it?
To me, yes, I'm a moral person, but some people, unfortunately,
Well, that's why we feel, and you've got to start somewhere.
right.
So that's
The proposition I gave to Shatterproof, and I'll be open, I'll share, is I personally feel that if I can get access to electronic health records of all patients, and I can see who people who are already diagnosed and are classified as having an addiction to something, and can be an opioid, can be something else, and build these machine learning models that predict, just say, just learning models that say, hey, this patient probably has a crisis. And I've built this stuff, I do this for a living. For last year, this time, was with a leading health insurance company to build a predictive model that looked at nurses' handwritten notes at the time of discharge, which insurance companies are able to get. So we're doing some very basic natural language processing, and then you combine that with the patient's data. And by the way, these insurance companies are also going out and buying market scan data, so they know where you live, your employer, your income, and zip code is extremely important because zip code will predict, what I was trying to predict was the most important performance metric to providers, whether the patient will be readmitted within 30 days. That's it. So can you predict that? Yes, we can.